Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining me for this video. Joe here with Tufel Gun and Armory, and today's video is going to be the final video for FTH202, which is the revolver subcourse of the Handgun Specialist curriculum at Sonoran Desert Institute. Today is February 13th, 2026, just before noon, and today we're going to be going over some of the important aspects when diagnosing the general health of your revolver, why they're important. We're going to go into some of the experiences that I've learned throughout this course, and some of the unique features on the double action platform. First things first, we need to make sure that we are being safe. There's no live ammunition anywhere in the workspace, and this firearm is clear and safe to work on. So with that being completed, let's get started. So when diagnosing the general health of your revolver, what is truly important to look at? We're going to start out with the muzzle crown, and then we're going to work our way back from the forcing cone to the cylinder gap to the cylinder and to firing pin protrusion, and go from there. So starting out, we have the muzzle crown. Now the muzzle crown isn't specific to revolvers. Through a ballistic standpoint, it's across every platform that's ever been designed. And the purpose of the muzzle crown is to ensure that those gases that are following that round are dispersed evenly as that round exits the barrel. When your crown is damaged, those gases are going to escape in an uneven fashion and throw off your shot one way or the other. And that's bad. Now we're going to move on to the forcing cone. The forcing cone is designed to force a round from a revolver into the barrel. And what do I mean by force? Well, it's different from chambering because on a revolver, you have your rounds in a cylinder. And that cylinder is not going to seal in a chamber similar to striker-fired handguns or rifles or anything else like that. That round actually has to jump the cylinder gap into the forcing cone. And as your revolver gets older and older, that gap is going to get bigger and bigger until it's unsafe to shoot. And I know I'm talking about cylinder gap, but this directly has to do with the forcing cone too, because as that gap gets bigger, there's going to be a point where it becomes unsafe to fire and that gap is just too great. And what happens when that gap is too great is that round is going to end up starting to strike the edges of the forcing cone and start shaving off metal parts. And it could even in extreme cases get to a point where the round impacts dead on the side and you have a catastrophic malfunction that could hurt you or somebody else and completely take your firearm out of the fight. Your cylinder, it can be damaged over time just due to spinning it in and out, whether there's a groove from the cylinder stop. You know, this one has been shaved down a little bit so it doesn't drag as much. So now we're going to get into firing pin protrusion. Firing pin protrusion is the amount that firing pin actually comes out of the frame when you pull that trigger. And through age, from constant metal on metal impact, from that firing pin striking repetitive primers over and over again, it can become dulled down, damaged, even break. And that protrusion is not going to be great enough to guarantee a proper strike on primers, and you're going to start having malfunctions. But I'm going to try to see if you can, this is probably going to be the best angle. And so you see the firing pin right there. And that firing pin protrusion, how much it is sticking out, is very crucial to the operation of your firearm. When I come back, we will get into the different things that I've learned in this class. In this portion of the video, we're going to talk about 10 of the things that I've learned throughout this course. I'm going to talk about why I feel that they are important and how I plan on strengthening them or continuing to hone them in the future. The easiest way I know to do this is to kind of make a blanket statement and list off all 10 and then talk about the reasons after the fact. So with that being said, 10 of the things that I've learned in this course have been barrel twist calculations, troubleshooting, polishing internals, timing of the cylinder, headspace, proper disassembly and assembly procedures, cycle of operations, importance of tolerances, especially the cylinder gap, the difference between owner, operator, and gunsmith, and reflection. So the reason why these are important to me is they are kind of the peaks in the learning when it comes to specifics for this course. Yes, every firearm has a cycle of operations. The revolver platform is different in which step goes where in that cycle. Being able to know how to take apart the revolver and put it back together will help when diagnosing what's wrong. If something's broken, I'll be able to spot it easier because I know what everything looks like inside and how it's supposed to work together. Tolerances are important across every platform, and when you start getting out of tolerances, things tend to not work as well as they're supposed to, if at all. And then, you know, that there's so many calculations and so many different things. Polishing internals, that's going to be another one that I can continue to use as part of my shop and part of sales. I'll be able to take in customers, provide those services, and so that I felt was really important to use. And just all in all 10 have been important in one way or another to my success in this industry, and the reflection being probably the top one, actually doing this assignment and trying to figure out what were those most important parts to me and why. That's reflection within yourself, and we also had reflection assignments each week, talking about the week prior, what we learned, why it was important. Similar to this, just on a smaller scale. And I plan on continuing to hone these things in the future because you're never done learning in this industry. There's always constant innovation, always something to learn. And if you're not learning, you're falling behind. The two areas that are unique to double action platforms are going to be A, the actual operation of the firearm, and B, the cylinder itself. Now, in the past, you've had cylinders that are stationary, they're fixed, and you have a loading gate in the single action platform where you half cock and open up the loading gate, and you have to manually spin the cylinder to each chamber and load each round individually, and do the same thing with ejection, where you have an ejector rod and you have to eject each round and manually spin the cylinder. The double action platform has a swing out cylinder most of the time. And what that allows is, not only does it allow you to load faster and more efficiently, but it also allows you to eject all of the casings at once using the ejector rod, the central ejector rod. And with a cylinder that swings out, it's easier to take that cylinder out if you want to change from like 38 to 357, or if your firearm comes with multiple cylinders like that. And so that is very important. And in a world where we live with the need for speed and efficiency in everything we do, anything helps when it comes to the revolver platform, because we have modern day semi-automatics now that have a lot greater capacity, a lot greater speed, lighter trigger pulls, and the double action platform kind of bridges that gap. Now, as far as the operation of it, in double action platforms, the trigger will do two things if you pull it. So in a single action platform, you have to manually cock the trigger to cycle that round and then pull the trigger. In a double action platform, when you pull the trigger, it will do everything at once, just like that. So that's just another thing that goes into the speed and efficiency that everybody's looking for, why wheel guns are so awesome in that regard, because of how everything is timed mechanically and works together towards a common goal. Revolvers are super fun to work with, and that's that. So just want to say thank you for joining me for this video. If you found this information helpful, be sure to drop it in the comments, let me know. Also be sure to subscribe to the channel. It's the best way we grow together, and I'll see you next time.